and you know the bone structure is virtually all the same. So if you had a 14k lamb with that bone structure, you know, as butchers, we want to make a profit. We wouldn't return the profit. So this was 18, so we'd probably accept that, but we like them about 19 kilos. Obviously on the continent, Belgium and France and Germany, they want a 14k lamb because they do a lot more butchery. We're kind of pretty basic, although we have kind of developed over the last 10 years. You know, they do a lot of seam butchery and further butchery, and they prefer that size lamb. So I'm going to take the legs off, and again I'll kind of show you what we did before, how we used to sell them and how we sell them now. You know, years ago when I started and dinosaurs roamed the earth, you know, that's how we'd kind of show our leg of lamb, and that's it really. You know, we'd leave the knuckle bone in, what we call the H bone. We'd leave that shank on, and that's pretty much how we'd sell our legs. But obviously, you know, we asked for a lot of customer feedback. So obviously, we call a lot of it French trimming because obviously that's where it came from. You know, we now take the shank off. Take this H bone, because obviously, you know, to carve one of these with that H bone in is virtually impossible. So we take that out. Again, nobody wants to buy the fat or to see it. You know, it doesn't. Obviously, when we do all the further butchery, you know, it affects the price per kilo because you've still got to, you know, get your margin. So obviously, it's got to reflect that in what we charge. But now with that, and again, it's only what's, you know, more sellable, more pleasing to the eye. We literally would display that with a sprig of rosemary, and obviously, you know, that's how we present it now. And obviously, when you see, you know, that to that, you know, the customer's saying, well, we don't want to pay for that. But again, like I say, it's reflected in the price. So, you know, they're still paying for it, but you don't see it. So. The shoulder, again, is a thing that, you know, when I started, we'd literally take the shoulder out, and that's pretty much how we'd sell the shoulder of lamb, again, with the knuckle on, etc. So, you know, we take that off now. And we've literally, that is a whole shoulder. We cut it in half. Obviously, a lot of our customers wouldn't want the whole shoulder. And that is the half shoulder of lamb. That's the blade side, because as you can see, it's got the blade running through the back, and that's what we call the knuckle side. But like I said earlier, just taking that on a bit further, because, you know, I've got to say, we've sold thousands of those, literally thousands. But people, you know, we had a training course. Our HR guy was there, and we actually cooked one off and got him to carve it, and you know, it looked absolutely horrendous, but obviously that's what anybody would do if they've never done one before. So what we do now is we take the blade bone out, we take that knuckle bone out, and we roll it. So again, there's no bone, very little fat, and trim it out, and we sell them whole, or we'll cut them in half, and you can see the difference. You know, you're just going to be cutting into meat, and it's a lot easier for slicing. We sell a few of those now, but everything we sell is virtually as that.
And how would you describe that rolled shoulder?
It's a rolled shoulder, yeah. You know, that would retail now, that would be $6.99. So again, you know, we've kind of, a whole shoulder would probably retail for 10, 11 quid. So, but again, what we do, we stuff those as well with a sage and onion stuffing and a rosemary glaze. So we do an option on that. But again, that's just taking it to the next level, and that's really how everybody wants them, because it's just so easier to carve. So. Just taking off the breast of lamb. And again, when I kind of started, you know, that was pretty much how we'd sell it. If somebody wanted it chopped, you know, that was the further butchering or the option. We'd just chop it. But what we do now, we bone it out. We'll trim it. It'll either go into, we do a lot of sausage. We do a Moroccan lamb sausage, so it goes into that. We do, especially in the summer, we'll do lamb riblets. You know, we'll trim it right down, and we'll do a lamb burger. So that would be trimmed down and into the sausage. And obviously that there is the bone breast. We take that fat out. And we'd put a rosemary stuffing in there, and we'd roll it, and then we cut it in half and sell them as either whole or in half. And again, it's just another version of trying to move that breast of lamb on.
Do you say much of that? It's quite fatty, isn't it, still?
We do actually. Like I say, years ago, nobody really wanted the breast of lamb.
Yeah.
But then we had a lot of, you know, they do kebabs with them and whatever, you know, so we're searching for them now, to, you know, believe it or not. It's you know, we have a lot of restaurant owners wanting to buy them and whatever. So obviously we kind of get a bit more of a premium price, which is good for us. And again, neck of lamb, which that is, we literally just chop that into pieces. You know, I mean, I love a lamb casserole, but you know, a lot of things, if I gave them to my daughter, I think she'd just give them to the dog. You know, she wouldn't know what to do with it. She's got a lovely modern kitchen, and you know, she never uses it. So I'm not surprised. She's always at our house. Nothing changes, does it? My son left with this year. He's 28. My daughter's 34, and my lad's 28, and he's gone to live with his girlfriends. And you know, but he's a god after all, isn't that? My wife said, "You'll miss him." I said, yeah. I said, for about 10 minutes. So what we do now with the neck of lamb, obviously it's since since a lot of the barbecue trade has kind of come on in the last 10 years, you know, we're always looking for things that we can barbecue and really get a premium price for it, because you know, in the past we've been busy fools. We don't factor our labour into it, and that's the thing where in the last 10 years, you know, we do factor our labour into it now. So that there is the neck fillet. I'll leave one hole obviously for the photographs. But what we do now with the neck fillets, and we actually buy neck fillets in now, because what we take off our lambs isn't enough for us, you know, when the sun shines, which isn't very often. So what we do with that, we'll make a kebab out of it. If ever I injure myself, it's making kebabs. It's never with a knife. And that's what we do now. We put it on a stick, and we coat that again with a rosemary glaze or a garden mint. And you know, I don't have many barbecues, but when I do, that's the thing I take home, because it eats absolutely fantastic. And of course, when I do the cooking, by the time we have the barbecue, there's none left. So, you know, if I have a barbecue, that's what I take home, because it eats absolutely fantastic.
It's still quite tender, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. You know, we always, you know, with any steak or any meat you're going to grill, you know, if you can squeeze it and more or less get your thumb and finger together, you know it's going to eat tender, and if you always can with that, it eats absolutely fantastic.
How much would that retail that just like?
That would retail, obviously we take the skin off it, we take that.
Expensive,
It's not cheap. That we would retail at $8.99, $9.99 a kilo. But then, you know, we've got some friends who we go away with, and you know, I've got to say, I get a bit uptight when she says meat's expensive, and you know, obviously we all know it's got to be grown, it's got to be fed, it's got to go through the process. We have inspectors, you know, so there's a lot more to it. But you know, so well, £2 of chicken fillets, boneless, skinless for $5.50. I said, come on, that's cheap, mate. £2 of good quality mince for a £5, that's cheap. And she still thinks it's expensive, but she'll go to Starbucks and you know, I have to bite my tongue and walk away, otherwise we'd not end up going on holiday with them. My wife would fall out with me. But you know, that's just a typical example of, you know, we've got a farm shop in Mere Green. It's I mean, obviously you're not all from around this area. It's Sutton Coalfield, very affluent, and we've got all the coffee making machines, you know, that came from Italy, and we did a costing on what it actually costs to make, you know, cappuccino, whatever, and it was 25 pence. So when you go to Starbucks, just think 25 pence. You put me on. Not that I ever go in, am I down for? But that's just a typical kind of example of when they say meat's expensive. It's not really, is it, when you compare it? I think it becomes expensive when you go to a Michelin restaurant, and that's a lamb's kidney, and you know, you'll buy 2 of them, and I think they charge about £15. You know, we charge 50 pence for that. So, you know, Gordon Ramsay's making a fortune, isn't he? I feel like Gordon Ramsay in his jacket today. I thought, am I gonna cut it or cook it? So those are the kidneys, and this is what we call a saddler lamb. That's where all the lamb chops come from. That we do as a double lamb chop, and it's what we call the Barnsley chop, which is obviously that's where it was developed, and it's obviously got the name of being a Barnsley chop, which is a double lamb chop. The loin, what we do with that, we've ground them out. What we do with this normally in the shops now, we've got a lot of garden centres or franchises, and we turn that into what we call a longboat. It'd be completely boneless. We'd stuff it, we'd skewer it, and we'd just sell it either as chops or as a loin. That centre bone out. My old gaffer could see me now, he'd be spitting feathers. He'd be leaving too much meat on them bones. We literally cut those down the bone. And there's your lamb chop. We do take that bone out sometimes and just sell them with the bottom bone on. But again, it's just the thing that, you know, people don't want to be having too much bone.
So when is it become a cutlet?
Sorry?
When does it become a cutlet?
When we would, I'd leave that centre bone in,
Yeah.
and I'd chop down there or saw down there, bone that out, and it would roll over.
Just roll over.
And that's,
Oh, yeah,
that's what we
nice.
call a cutlet.
Oh,
Yeah. But that terminology for, we call them loin chops, or we call them breakfast chops, because obviously they're cooked and people pick them up and whatever, you know. So that's what we do with the loin. And if you've ever seen the Guard of Honour, you know, we bone that to about there, defat it, take all the meat out, same that side, and we'd fold them into one another, and that becomes the Guard of Honour. And we do then, I'd leave that centre bone in, and I'd just go between the ribs, use the two halves and make them into a circle, and that'd be the crown. So that's where, you know, your crown of lamb would come from.
Is that the belly you get?
The noisette.
Noisette.
Yeah, it's just a complete boneless one.
Yeah.
It's a noisette or the medallion. You know, that'd be the complete boneless one. So what I'll do, I'll label this up, and if you want to take some photographs, I'll just quickly show you this. This is what we call the chump. And if you bear in mind when we go through the species, I'll show you the difference, because really, when we get to the hip and loin, you know, this is the smaller version of a hip bone. You know, it is exactly the same cut, but obviously being off the lamb, it is smaller. But that would be, if you was having a hip bone steak, that would be the equivalent in the lamb. And like I say, years ago, we'd slice that, we had band saws, we'd zip it through on the bandsaw, and you know, that was your chump chop. But we bone it out now. And that's a boneless leg steak, and that is the equivalent of a hip bone steak, but obviously in the lamb. And again, you know, that when we are looking for kebabs, we'll kebab that as well. So it's strange when that sun shines, you know, our trading will just flick. And years ago, you know, we never had that facility because barbecues wasn't such a big thing. If that sun shines, you know, we've got shops on a Saturday that will double the turnover purely when the sun shines. So, you know, for years we've kind of dreaded the warm weather and the sunshine. Now we're kind of, you know, we're praying for it because we can double our turnover.
And I suppose the trends and whatever you see on the ideally on there cooking something for a
all that, you know, all that helps. I think it was one year when Judy Goodman was on the television and it was her goose fat and we sell her turkeys. We couldn't get enough of her goose fat because it had been on that programme, you know, so. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Okay. So what about this, Joe? Just leave it? Okay, no probs. Yeah. Okay, see it again, Joe. Yeah, thanks. So if I do that, if you want to take some photographs, then fine, and then we'll move on to the pig. Like I say,
What's that breed? Some kind of dressing you put on it?